Kind of goes back to what you were saying about oral histories. It's like you studying these things and you have this history in your mind and you go and you can tell these stories and relate back to these facts and build some historical content to put out there, whether you're speaking to a classroom or you're actually putting it out on the internet, essentially.
Right.
But another thing I did want to ask you about the face of education today. And one thing I've noticed about my podcast is I started it out as a basic audio tour. And of course, it's evolved into this podcast is getting thousands of downloads. And I'm hearing from teachers similar to you, teachers and even some universities who are like, hey, we added this to the syllabus because it helps tell this story so much better.
Right.
So do you think podcasting in general has changed the face of education?
I think it has. When I started the podcast in 2015, one of the reasons that I did it was I was shamed, not intentionally, by a historian who was a real hero of mine, and I won't name his name here, but he said, what are you working on? And I really wasn't working on anything. So I was consuming all this history for my own benefit, but I wasn't giving back. And so kids were little, I'm not going to have time to write a book, but I discovered there really wasn't a Texas history podcast. And so I thought, well, I could do that. It's like giving a speech. And so that's how it started. Mm-hmm. Well, like you, I knew I had something when the numbers started to grow, which is nice. But when I started getting emails from college professors saying, here's why what you're doing is important and I'm using it in my class, and I started getting invited to come speak at university classes on Texas history. And I look at it from a storytelling perspective, or at least I did then, not as a professor. But now I'm an adjunct professor of Texas history. Yeah. So, and now I have and I'm working on a master's in all of this stuff. And so now I have a broader perspective from more of an academic point of view on why history is important, which is a mixed blessing because I get to take the product and make it more relevant and more important. But I also see the problems that we're facing right now and which just inspires me more to make sure that people are getting history. And one of the things that I wanted to do with the podcast was communicate history in a new and different way, because hopefully people and younger people who would be more inclined to listen to podcasts would consume history. Now, they may not go pull a book off the shelf, but they'll listen to a podcast. So I really strive to give, certainly on the deeper topics, scholarly research. Now, you don't footnote a podcast, so it's not obvious, but the sources and stuff, the way I'm putting them together would pass any scholarly muster. And so that's important too. The way I put it sometimes is you're getting your vegetables, but they don't taste like vegetables. And there's no reason that serious academic history should be as dry as it is 99% of the time. That's silly.
Galveston Unscripted.